A very common question I come across is that how do I know if I am the twin flame runner or if I am actually the chaser? And in reality, actually, many people who are the runners misidentify themselves with the chaser. And you can see the exact same problem with the same dual or a different version of duality, but it's exactly the same thing with the empath and the narcissist. That many empaths are not sure if they are the narcissist, and many narcissistic people actually identify themselves as the empath. And at the very core of these two versions of the same thing is actually relationships, and relationships are attachment. And we are going to go to the 4 attachment types. That is going to give you a very good understanding why certain people are confused or they seem confusing, and how you can even identify yourself. And I prefer the attachment types compared to the narcissism and empath dynamics, because narcissism has a very negative meaning nowadays. But in reality, you have to understand, and this is another thing why many people are not really sure, that we have all of these things at a certain degree, and everything is on a spectrum. So we have 4 attachment types, and it actually comes from the 4 types of parenting. And out of the 4 attachment types and out of the 4 parenting styles, only one is the one that is going to be secure, and it's going to be the combination of the other insecure types. And basically all the other 3 attachment types are going to be insecure. It means that they are unhealed, they have plenty of childhood wounds, and these are the types of people who can either run away from a relationship too much, or become close from a relationship, or even completely disinterested in relationships, or see a relationship more as a transactional thing, that okay, I do what I have to do and you do what you have to do. I bring home money and you give me food in return, and children. So it doesn't really matter what that is. At the very core, these insecures are way too rigid in one thing, and they are not in the other 2 versions. So let me explain what I mean. So how these other 3 insecure attachments actually evolve. So you have to understand that you have the 3 parts of your nervous system. At the very core, you have the reptile brain. This is the survival. These people are going to be the more transactional, that I bring home money and you give me children and sex, but there is not much emotions in it. And these are coming from parents who neglect the child, and they force the child to grow up very fast and be very independent very fast. And these children grow up to be the dismissive, avoidant attachment type. And over that, we have the mammalian brain, or the mammalian system. And this is the attachment. So you can see that who is in this one, the dismissive avoidant, doesn't have enough energy, doesn't have enough neurocommunication, doesn't have enough patterns in the emotional part. So these people are more into the idea that they can only depend on themselves, and they see themselves as, oh, I'm very good, and everyone else is negative and they cannot be trusted. Because as children, they were let down by the parents, so they don't allow anyone to come close to them. Of course, any of these insecure types can be helped with therapy, but they don't change on their own. It's not like a tree that it's going to grow no matter what. So going back to the mammalian system, the mammalian system is going to be active in around age 3, when the child is very anxious when the parent is not there, and they become very emotional. This is the emotional attachment. And the children who are actually very active in this mammalian system are going to be the anxious-preoccupied attachment type. And this is going to be the codependent or your empath. And if we talk about the twin flames, it's going to be your twin flame chaser, because these type of people are extremely focused on the partner and extremely focused on the relationship. But in reality, they are trying to resolve the childhood trauma that they are very, very connected to. They keep reliving, and this is their main focus, that I have to solve it, I have to solve it. And they are really into soothing, that I want to feel soothed, because this is the thing they didn't receive from the parents. And that's why this type of people actually, when they get into a secure relationship, because they are insecure on their own, they feel bored because they cause drama. They crave that drama, but in reality, they don't crave the drama. They crave that soothing. So when there is a huge fight, they actually don't crave the fight. They want to feel that they are loved, they are soothed. So if you are in this one, you have to realize what you actually cause, and a secure person is not going to find you attractive, and the problem is that you don't find the secure person attractive either. You are going to go for someone who causes you drama, because an insecure person is going to feel attracted to another insecure person who is the opposite, because opposites attract. And this is going to be one level up, and it's going to be your fearful avoidant or your narcissistic person. And it's going to be the combination. So the fearful avoidant is going to be the combination of these two lower parts, the dismissive avoidant and the anxious preoccupied attachment type. That's why they call them disorganized attachment type. And these type of people, so basically the combination of the runner and the chaser, and also a little bit the combination of the codependent and the narcissist. So this is going to be very different from the person who is at the bottom, because they are more rigid in themselves, the dismissive avoidant. They are very certain in what they want because they're just too afraid of doing anything different. And this one deep down really craves intimacy, but is running away from the very thing that he or she craves. And I have a very good understanding of this, because this is where I was in the very beginning. I was a fearful avoidant, or it's actually the covert narcissist. And I would like to again say that there is a spectrum, that somebody can be in the disorder and somebody can be on the traits version. And if you are in the traits part, that's when you can move. And the difference between the pathological and who is in the traits or with the spectrum is that how flexible you are. Can you change or not? So it doesn't really matter even if you are in this, if you are able to see the word differently, that and you are ready to change, you can change. I don't give a fuck what most people say. You will find many videos and many scientists who actually say that narcissism can be changed if you are on the trait side. So don't be discouraged or afraid if you end up in watching many of the videos who say, okay, if you are this type of person, you don't change it. It just went into a circus, to be honest. So the question gets here that from the beginning, that are you the chaser or the runner, or the narcissist or the empath? So when you really question this, you are most likely to be this type of person. And this type of people had very authoritarian parents who kept saying rules. You should help others. So that's why these people feel that they are empathic as well, because everything is for others, for the group, for your parents, for this. So they are not selfish on their own, but they can also act in a selfish way, because the problem is that they are disconnected from that emotional part, because everything is very rule-based. That you should do this, you should do that, it doesn't matter what you want, you follow the rules. So when they get into a relationship and the other person talks about emotions, they don't really understand what the hell is really going on, because that emotional part couldn't develop in themselves, because the parents didn't engage with the emotions, they engaged with the head. So these type of people are very heady people. What is supposed to happen, what they should do, but they will feel that they are empathic as well. But the other version of empath, that is really the empath, is going to be different, because they are able to channel the other person's emotions. So these type of people are going to be more connected to the deeper part, the emotional empathy, I would say. They feel deeper, that's why they are more impulsive and they can become very angry. And that's why the anxious-preoccupied and the chaser kind of version. And they can be very explosive and impulsive. And this other version of person feels the empathy in a cognitive way more, and they have feelings, so it's a little bit lighter compared to the emotions, and they pull away. So if they are not really sure, they pull away. But again, to understand this type of person is the combination of these below parts. But you have to really understand what is the predominant in you, because the predominant is going to be that you are afraid the most of what you really crave, because you crave this intimacy really much. That's why you can feel that you are the empath or the codependent, or you can feel that I think I'm the chaser, because you really want the relationship, but at the same time, if there is a problem, you can run away because it's just too much. It's too scary. But in reality, what you can really do, because it's not enough to identify who you are, you have to also overcome your own things. And it's that if you are in this fearful avoidant, you have to remember, and this is going to give you the best clue, what was your childhood like? Try to remember how you felt as a child, because you are going to recreate the same trauma. This is how the nervous system operates. It tries to recreate the same trauma with the opposite parent, this time you can resolve it. You can create a different body-mind connection. So basically it can be healed, it can be integrated. And it's going to be that as a child, you took everything very personally, that I am bad, I'm not good enough. Because especially a girl coming from a traditional parenting, where the father is never at home and the mother does everything, and because the father is never at home, she's basically a bitch, always just shouting and controlling everything most of the time, because she's unhappy. Then you have to realize that this is going to have a very negative impact on you as a little child. But because you don't have the head part yet, because it takes 25 years to have a fully developed brain, you make wrong assumptions. And the assumptions are, I am bad, something is wrong with me. And your mother is very likely to actually tell that to you, that something is wrong with you. So that actually reinforces this belief. So you have to really find the very core of where are your beliefs coming from, and you have to be able to break them. You have to be able to see yourself objectively. But in order to see yourself objectively, you have to really go to the root. What is your core belief? and go as deep as you can. What are those thoughts? What are those feelings? Are they real in a sense that are they valid, or did you make it as a child? Because the problem is the more often you repeat the same thing over and over, because everything is a neural communication within you, neurons that fire together, wire together, the most rigid this is going to be within you, and the more difficult it is to overcome. And the only way to overcome is that you see the other person from his or her point of view. This is how you overcome, that you see yourself separately. And separately means that you see yourself objectively, but in order to see that, you have to be able to understand the other person as well, where they are coming from, why they behave in a way they behave, because maybe it's not a reaction to your the way you are, it's a reaction to how they are, how they were raised. Because if your partner is insecure, you have to understand their insecurity and how that insecurity is going to manifest. And as soon as you start to see the insecurity behind the behavior, and also the same for you, that's when you can start healing. That's when you can start integrating yourself. And you need to read about it. You need to learn about it. There are many, many books that you can read that is related to psychology. And again, one of the best things you can look into is the 4 attachment types and the 4 parenting types. And this is going to give you a very good understanding of yourself and of others as well. And if you don't know who you are, it's also very likely, again, that you are this fearful avoidant, where your parents always told you who you were. That when you were crying that, this is my problem or that is my problem, they immediately connected to your head that you shouldn't feel that way, that's not true, everything is fine, you are just silly, you are just stupid, and all of this bullshit that you had to listen to as a child, but you didn't have enough critical ability because your brain wasn't evolved enough to actually see reality as it really was, because you weren't an adult, you didn't have enough knowledge. But in reality, your parents didn't have enough knowledge either. That's why they labeled you, and you got used to that your external reality told you who you were and how you felt. And when you grew up, you just you don't have the skills to really feel who you are or how you feel. And the only way you can do that is that you start focusing, and it's going to take time. And ask these questions. How do I feel? And look, it's not going to be 2 days. It's not going to be 5 weeks. It's going to take you years, because you have left. You have abandoned that version of yourself like 20 years ago, maybe 30 years ago, 40 years ago, long time ago. So it's going to take you a long time to rebuild that relationship with that very deep part of yourself back. And the only way is to ask these questions. How do you feel? What do you like? And test things. There's different things. What are the things that you like? And this is the only way to rediscover yourself that you didn't have the opportunity to do when you were a little child. Because it doesn't matter how many videos you are going to watch, if you are this or that, the question to your answer, the answer to your question is within you. You are the only one who knows that. See you in my next video.